G'day, mates. It's your boy here, and we back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. We have another tier list today. This one was requested. Actually, a couple of these were requested. So, we're going to be doing tier lists now for all of the legendary heroes and the mythic heroes. So, we're starting off with Fire today because we got the new legendary Allure, who is a Fire hero. So, I thought I might as well start things off with Fire, and we'll just go down the list. We'll do like Wind, Water, Earth, and then we'll start doing Light and Darkness, and Anima and Astra as well. So, starting this off, of course, in S tier, we have legendary Hinoka. It's just hilarious how much better she is than everyone else on this list. She's kind of close to Allure and Chez. She's not, like, blowing circles around them, but, like once we start getting further down, it's just, there's no competition at all for Hinoka. The support that she grants is just way too strong. So, like, all your flyers just become gods when you have Hinoka on the team. So, I've got her in S. Also, she scores in the highest. Actually, Allure is the highest scoring. Scoring is going to be a factor for this list, by the way, because in Arena, I think Arena is really where we should be grading the legendary heroes the most, because that is the mode designed for them. You need your legendary heroes at plus 10 to be giving out blessings to your other units to create an Arena core so you can score higher for Arena and hopefully get to tier 21 and get those crowns. So, Allure is the highest scoring legendary hero, and that's because she has the 200 BST increase from her legendary skill. And then she's also a dragon, so she has access to disencountered dragons, which is the only sacred seal in the game that scores in the 300 bin. So, you'd be able to score higher than Hinoka with Allure, but, I mean, it's not, like, by a significant enough margin, and then Hinoka is just way, way better. So, I've got Hinoka all by herself in S tier. Allure is very strong, though, and she offers a very good support effect on her new special, where she's granting allies that have ally support with her the ability to nullify enemy damage reduction from non-special skills. So, things like Spurn 4, or Close Call 4, or Gambit 4, things like that, she's just going to be able to allow allies to break right through, which is very, very nice support. She's also a pretty nice unit, too. We're going to take a look at builds as well, just to, like, not be boring about this. But we'll go through the tier list first before we take a look at the builds. Legendary Chez aged like fine wine. This unit, when she came out, she had kind of a lot of flaws in her kit. Like, she didn't have -1 special trigger. Not so much of an issue anymore with Rally Spectrum. She didn't have null follow-up. Not so much of an issue anymore, because now we've got physical null follow-up, which is insane on her. It was hard for her to ramp up to lethality. She did have a special acceleration effect on her weapon, but, I mean, physical null follow-up with the Brave attacking is way more consistent for her. And then also another issue I had with her was that it was, like she couldn't hit the enemies 4 times in a row, and she lacks damage reduction to protect herself. That's not a problem anymore, because now we have a Desperation Seal, and we also have, attacking speed dance, what is it called again? Firestorm Dance 3, where you can dance an ally and then give them instant desperation. So imagine this Chez with Firestorm Dance 3 support and physical null follow-up. She's just going to tear a hole in everything she attacks. So a crazy player phase unit here. Then in B tier is still really strong. Like, these units are not to be slept on whatsoever. It looks bad that they're 2 tiers below the highest tier, but, like, don't feel ashamed at all. If you got any of these guys at plus 10, you're doing really good, right? Like, these are still units to be on the lookout for. So, legendary Edelgard, who got her remix, is a very strong Gale Force option. Gale Force is amazing in Arena, because there's only 4 enemies you got to worry about. So, if you can pop 2, or in this case, 3 enemies with 1 unit in 1 turn, like, that's so powerful for Arena. So, like, Gale Force units, I've graded a little bit higher for this type of mode. We have also Xander as well, legendary Xander. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's got, like, built-in null follow-up. He's got some damage reduction. He's got Canto as well. He can move 3 spaces, being a physical cavalry type. And it's easy for him to Gale Force, and it's easy for him to, like, just pop 2 enemies and then Canto himself away. So he's definitely worthwhile to be in B tier. And then these 2 units over here are just mage nukes. Like, Celica's new B skill is just magic null follow-up on crack. It gives her desperation, it cuts enemy DR in half, and then it also gives her null follow-up, and it does speed -5 on the enemies also. So she's able to just break right through whatever she's hitting. For the most part, her speed stat itself didn't age the best. So we're going to be looking at some skills that raise her speed by quite a bit when we look at her. And then Legendary Lalina is a very nice AoE nuke. She has the built-in Hardy Bearing effect, which is something that she has over the Bride Lalina. For some reason, they didn't give Hardy Bearing built into Bride Lalina. So this Legendary Lalina can still have that one edge against Vantage and Preempt enemies. And then she's also doing the Insta-Charged Gifted Magic with her effect. She can get -1 special trigger. So it's pretty easy to nuke stuff with her, and her res is good too, so she can run like res-based skills to debuff, like Sabotage Attack Res. Then we come to C tier. I feel like these units still kind of have some usability in certain modes. Marth is a little bit... he's in a tough spot here, because his best partner would obviously be Legendary Robin to get some debuffs on him and to start Unity stacking. He's got built-in bonus doubler and built-in Unity on his weapon, so he wants to either be going for a ton of stats as blue bonuses or a ton of stats as red debuffs. And unfortunately, him being a fire-type hero, you would not be able to run him in tandem with like Legendary Eliwood or Legendary Robin, because they are heroes from different legendary seasons. So that really hinders how much you'd be able to get out of him. He's going to be a lot better outside of Arena, actually. So that's one thing in his favor. And the same with Atri. She can work pretty good in Arena as well, though. She's a flying type unit, so you're free to give her Soaring Guidance or Guidance 4 to help ferry your other units around. She's also got built-in Canto too, so it's easy for her to attack and then Canto away. So Atri's still pretty solid. There's no complaints from me at all about Atri. And then D tier is bottom tier. This is where these units like can't really help out too much in Arena. But if you've got them at +10, you might as well use them regardless, because in Arena, it's all about wailing. Any legendary hero you have at +10 in Arena is going to help you. So you shouldn't feel bad. Like, even if you got Roy at +10 and you see him all the way at the bottom here, don't be discouraged by any means. It's not like the biggest deal in the world. You can still easily win the fights if you've got your recent heroes merged up. Like, some of the Grail units are very strong for Arena now. Like, also, Cyril is a really nice unit. He scores as high as Vigard at +10 and fully merged up. And then he's also a ranged unit, so he can be a good player phaser. So Arena's not that tough. You really just need any one legendary hero at +10, and that's going to help you out so much. So just because these guys are in D tier, don't worry too much about that. Ephron is a solid Gale Force option, but not quite as solid as Edelgard or Xander, so he's all the way down here. Null Follow-Up just ruins this guy completely. Like, that's his issue. Also, he doesn't have any DR anywhere on his kit. So he's relying on just having raw defense to tank enemies, which sometimes that's okay, but in a lot of situations that may not be enough. So that's why he's in D tier. Hector is awkward. His support from Ocean Pulse is really nice. And it's actually quite good in Arena, where specifically you can only have 4 units on the team. So the tactic skill requirement is very easy to meet in Arena, as opposed to like Summoner Duels where you've got 5 units, or Aether Raids where you've got 6 units deployed for offense, or 7 on defense. Like, the less units on the team, the easier it is for him to meet his condition. So that is nice there. He can be a solid Gale Forcer. We just got the Bold Fighter seal, which I like running on him. We'll take a look at his build in a second. It's similar to what I do with him, to just like have him Gale Force, because trying to tank with this guy, when you have to give up the best thing about him, which is his C skill, to give him a save skill if you wanted him to tank. I feel like it's just a better idea to just like player phase with him. And then Roy is trying to be a God Sword, but he just lacks a lot of the tools necessary. He doesn't have built-in Null Follow-Up anywhere. He doesn't have -1 special trigger. If he did have -1 special trigger, Godlike Reflexes would have been pretty nice on him, but he doesn't have it. He does have Nullify Guard, and he also gets Special Acceleration, though, on his weapon, which is solid. He also has this encounter, but he's not getting enough stats. His C skill is okay at best. Actually, his C skill is kind of hurtful, because we would much rather run like Times Pulse 4 or some other C skill on him instead of his own C skill. So just a very poor overall like remix for him, sadly. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some builds here. So this is probably what you want to do with Hinoka. Something like this. Seal Speed is to help her win speed checks, because when she wins the speed check, she gets the Fire Sweep effect, which is very instrumental to her survivability. So I think Seal Speed 4 is a good option, but also Seal Defense if you want to do more damage. So there we go for her. Blade Session just gives the most attack and speed, and Flared Sparrow, what do I even say about that? She's got built-in Kanto, and your other flyers are looking like monsters when she's getting all the support from Rallying Cry. Alright, we got the Allure up next, this brand new Allure. Her base kit is fine, actually. Like, you're free to run this. I know people are very mad that she has null C4. People would rather her have something else, which is fine. You could give her, like, Counter Roar or something instead if you want her to just be a damage dealer, which I would agree is probably the best way to play her outside of Arena. But since this is a legendary tier list and we're talking about, like, scoring and Arena mode itself, I gotta bring up this build. This Encounter D is the only seal that scores in the 300 bins, so running it on Allure maximizes how high she can score. So it does combo nicely with Null C. She can be a spot check for Legendary Veronica and Legendary Hinoka if they ever rear their ugly heads. So Null C is nice there, and then just the rest is history. Should be pretty obvious why the rest of this stuff is there. Alright, then we got Legendary Chez, the player phaser to end all player phasers. Physical Null follow-up, of course. Like I said, Desperation from Firestorm Dance 3 comboed with this just allows her to annihilate anything. We got Ruptured Sky because it's easy for her to get to. She has built-in acceleration on her weapons, so the low hit cooldown from this is very nice there. And then Attack and Speed Form just to get some dual phase stats. She doesn't really need dual phase stats. You could go Blade Session also, but the Speed Form combos pretty nicely with Oath 4, and you could possibly be getting Attack and Speed up 7, and it's not so hard to do that, so there we go. Alright, we got Legendary Edelgard up next. Mrs. Golf Swing here. Alright, so her remix was pretty good. Raging Storm 2 can nullify Wary Fighter effects on Dragon and Beast types. So this would allow her to break through units like Rhea, who's relying on effects that stop the enemy's follow-ups. So she can really bully slow dragons and slow beast type units. And then Aimer and Raging Storm allow her... Aimer has built-in special acceleration now, so we don't need to go Heavy Blade 4, which was prior to this refine her best thing. So now we can just go Fire Flood Boost, give her Guard built-in, give her Attack and Res up 7, and HP up 5, just giving her a ton of stats. She can Gale Force. She can take up to 3 actions in a turn with Raging Storm and Gale Force, so just a very nice player phaser. Her C skill is kind of like up in the air. Like, you could also... I think Assault Troop is definitely what you would want to give her, but it doesn't score in the 300 bins, so I guess Panic Smoke is fine, because she's going to be taking multiple actions in a turn, so you can easily activate Panic Smoke on something, and then attack and then get out of the way. To fix her mobility, you would want to run her on a team with someone that has Guidance 4 or Soaring Guidance 4, because that one works for armor types. So allow her to jump in, or have another armored unit on the team that has the Armor March Sacred Seal. That would be another way to get bonus movement on her. Really just throw her at the enemies and have her just shout 4 multiple times as she's swinging for a hole-in-one there. Alright, next up we've got Legendary Xander. His base kit was... What did he have? Like Catch 4, Attack Speed Catch 4, I think, and then Colorless Feud. Colorless Feud is okay, but he doesn't really want that. We go for Alarm Attack Speed here to get the start of turn stats and the Kanto 1. Doesn't really work too well with the Kanto Rem he's already getting from Chivalry, but, I mean, the stats, hard to argue with, and then he's still also getting the Drive Attack and Speed up 3, which I think is very instrumental for him, so we've got that there. Flared Sparrow makes sense with anyone who can Gale Force and Kanto, so we've got Flared Sparrow there as well. Attack and Speed solo for as much attack and speed as we can get when he's attacking by himself to Gale Force, and the rest is history. He's got built-in Null follow-up, he's got built-in special acceleration, so it's easy for him to Gale Force here. Alright, we got Celica up next. This is a idea build for her. We've got Flare. She can use Flare to heal herself to stay healthy for Soul of Zofia 2, because once you fall below 25% health, she's going to stop gaining one of the effects of this, so Flare can help her out there. Although, you're free to run, like, Ruptured Sky instead if you want. She's got a Times Pulse effect built into her weapon, and then she also gets Special Acceleration, so you're easily going to be able to just ramp up to Flare anyway. But if you want that consistency and you're worried about enemies having Guard, you're free to also go for Ruptured Sky as an option too. And then it's just, like, all skills that boost her attack and speed, and then boost damage when she deals special attacks, like Finish 4 gives her the +5 there. So Soul of Zofia got a very, very powerful remix. Alright, we got Legendary Lalina up next. Just going for that gifted magic nuke pretty much. Just raise her attack and res as high as possible. Sabotage attack and res can be counterplayed if the enemies are not adjacent, so that's why we've got Menace here for backup. It's going to target the enemies that are closest within 4 spaces and give her attack and res up 6 and do attack and res -6 on them. The visible bonuses and visible debuffs help out your AoEs a lot, giving you added damage there, so that's why Menaces actually work pretty good here. And Menace in general is just a very good skill for Arena, because Arena is pretty casual. There's nothing really too tough you got to worry about in Arena. So you can get away with Menaces in there. Oblivion be damned. And then also, Sabotage Attack Res gives in-combat stats. So even if you're like debuffing with Menace, you're still getting stuff out of Sabotage anyway. So I think this is a pretty good build for her, pretty strong. All right, we got H3 up next. This unit, we're going for Flared Sparrow again, because we can. She just attacks and then cancels away. Guidance 4 is super clutch for Arena. Like, any flyer that can run this definitely wants to. So, for example, like Legendary Edelgard is going to be looking a lot better here. Or any other armored units you may be running, such as Vigard or Murdoch. They're going to be looking a lot better with Guidance 4. You could go for attack and speed solo as well on her, but I feel like it's overkill. The only reason we need speed here is so she can break through wary fighter units, like slow armors that rely on wary fighter, because she gets a guaranteed follow-up on her weapon. So if she's fast enough, the first hit will just break wary fighter, and then her next attack will be a speed check double. So that's why we can go for speed on this unit, but it's not a necessity. All right, next up we got Legendary Marth. Like I said before, ideally you would probably want Unity on him, attack speed Unity, and pair him up with Legendary Robin. But we can't do that in Fire Season, unfortunately. So something like this, we just completely throw out his B skill, by the way. His B skill is ass. What does he need to be 5 points of speed higher than the enemy to get a Fire Sweep effect? No, dude, just no. No way, Jose. So we're going for Close Call 4 here. We get some damage reduction. We also get the hit and run. We got Oath 4 to get some stats, and then Distant Attack Speed solo, so he can get some even more stats there. And then Attack and Speed form. You could argue that solo would be better if we're running Attack Speed solo. Yeah, I guess we might as well. Let's just go ahead and change that. Because with Distant Attack Speed solo, you might as well run the solo seal. Alright, and then next up we've got Legendary Hector here. Like I said, I tend to just Gale Force with this guy. It works, it's fine. So his weapon gives him a nullification of the enemy's follow-up. He gets Wary Fighter there. And then with Bold Fighter, he gets himself a guaranteed follow-up with Special Acceleration. So it's easy for him to Gale Force. He also can get himself the -1 special trigger with Ostian Pulse, as long as your team meets the tactic skill requirement. So he's a solid Gale Forcer, even though he's lugging around 1 movement space per turn. Wings of Mercy 4 can really help with that, though. Like, let's say you've got a unit on the team with Push 4 or Fury 4 or something like that. They just take chip damage after they attack. Then all of a sudden, Hector can jump in really well. He can jump within 2 spaces of that unit and start Gale Forcing. And then after he Gale Forces once, you can choose to attack again or jump away to safety. So this is probably the best you can get out of him here, seeing as how we can't run, like, save skills with him to counteract Ostian Pulse, which is the best thing about him. Alright, and then finally we got these 2 stragglers back here. Legendary Roy, I mean, RIP. This was the best I could come up with for him. I was thinking like Gambit 4 with Ether, or like Close Call 4 with like Godlike Reflexes. There's a lot of options for him, but I can't really come up with what I think is the best. Special Spiral 4 was also an option too, to just like consistently use Vital Astra. But I mean, Null Follow-Up, being able to bully slow dragons, I think is probably the best thing he can do. So we're going for that. He can easily get to Vital Astra because he's got the Nullification of Guard and the Special Acceleration. So it's not difficult at all for him to use this. And then we're just going all attack and speed boosting skills. Attack and speed form is probably slightly better, because this guy wants to be close by to allies that have bonuses, so he can get the damage reduction portion of his C skill to activate a lot easier. So there we go there. And then finally, Ephron, like I said, he's just another Gale Force option, but not quite as efficient as Xander is, because he's slower and he doesn't really have null follow-up anywhere or damage reduction or anything like that. So this is probably what we want to go for. Once again, Alarm having Kanto clashes with this guy already having Kanto, but the start of turn bonus stats and then the in-combat drive stats are still worthwhile over any other C skill you could give him, so we still want Alarm. Solo for more attack and defense, Flared Sparrow for the more damage. You could give him an attack and defense boosting skill if you want, like maybe attack and defense Clash 4 would be okay, but I mean, the amount of damage you get with Flared Sparrow is just so wild, you can't ignore it, so I would say go for that instead. And that's pretty much it for our Legendary Fire Season tier list. We'll come back later today, and we'll probably knock out another one. I don't know which season we'll do next. Maybe Wind or Water or Earth, but I'll decide which one I want to do next. So that's going to wrap us up for this tier list, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section down below. And this is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, fellas, and I'll catch y'all again on the flip side.